Week 12 of the NFL season in the line of scrimmage. DFS cash game show and some GPP and, of course, some DFS ownership percentages. We have with us today John the Scholar Laub and Emil Kadlec, the old man of fantasy, and I am in Montana remote. So who knows what it's going to sound like. I'm probably all messed up, but hopefully we'll at least hear John, which is most important. How you doing, John?
I'm doing great, but the NFL, what a wild day, Emil. And you know what? You and I have been doing the college show all season, and I've had to deal with this for the last month. Anywhere from 14 to 20 games have been canceled at the last moment. And here we are. We have Jonathan Taylor out with COVID-19. We have the entire Denver Broncos quarterback room gone, right? We have Saints offensive linemen gone. We have, Tua Tagovailoa doesn't look like he's playing. So we have incredible amounts of value opened up. We're going to be talking about this slate until about 12:35 tomorrow morning. Like, it's changing by the minute. So we're going to have to be on top of it. We're here for you tonight, but anyone playing DFS tomorrow, you've got to pay attention to the very end because who knows what's going to happen. Oh, yeah, I forgot. The biggest story of all was that Ravens-Steelers game, which was from Thursday to the Sunday slate. Now it's canceled till Tuesday, postponed till Tuesday. James Conner tested positive. Who knows what's going to happen there? So we'll take it day by day, moment by moment, Emil.
No doubt. And also, the Denver Broncos have now activated Randall Hinton, who is a receiver on the practice squad, and supposedly he's available to play Sunday.
And he was a quarterback at Wake Forest. He's not an NFL quarterback, but he did take snaps from the center. So, I guess the other quarterback is Royce Freeman at this. He would be Royce Freeman is the emergency quarterback. So, I kind of like Tim Patrick this week. I think I'm going to shoot him. I don't even think I can put him in regular season leagues. Who knows what their passing game will be like right now. But we have so much to talk to the listeners about.
All right, well, let's start with the first slide.
All right, we always start with the Scholars DFS Sleepers. Where can you find some value? Where can you put it into your lineup, especially when you want players like Keenan Allen and Dalvin Cook and, Kyler Murray? And we're going to help you put those players in your lineups. If you're looking to save up at the quarterback but not really go high risk, Teddy Bridgewater has played very good football this year. I was lucky enough to see him in college at the Rent against UConn years ago. Now, he came in the league. He ended up having that tragic injury. Took him a long time to come back. But remember, he was a first-round pick, Emil. He missed last week, and P.J. Walker led Carolina to a victory. So Carolina believes they're in the playoff hunt here. Before that, against Tampa Bay and Kansas City, Teddy Bridgewater scored 20 and 31 DraftKings points. He had passed for 136 and 310 yards. He had thrown for 4 touchdowns and ran for 2, one in each game. I think my screen just froze, so I apologize, everyone. It's going to be one of those evenings. Sorry about that. But you can hear me. So right now
we're good to go. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can see us on the slides. Maybe aim my picture off of that.
You're actually not on the. Yeah, if you're not on the slide now, so everything's perfect.
All right, excellent. So Teddy Bridgewater, but we're looking at the matchup against the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings have been playing better on defense. I will give them that over the last month. They had started this season off horribly, but they have come on. Mike Zimmer has turned around that young secondary. The defensive line and linebackers are playing better. Mike Zimmerman's a good defensive coach. They were abysmal early in the year. But when you look at these matchups, DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, and Curtis Samuel, Teddy Bridgewater has playmakers here. He's very intelligent with the football. And Matt Rule is doing a great job coaching up this team. Remember, last year they were just awful, the Panthers. I like this matchup here. The game script, there should be lots of points scored in this game. If you look at what Vegas is telling us, let me get the number. I think it's over 51 last I looked. I just want to jump onto that screen here. All right, here we go. I can just tell already. Yep, it's a 50-point over-under, and Minnesota is a 3-point favorite. So basically, each team should be scoring between 24 and 27 points, 3 or 4 touchdowns each. I like Teddy Bridgewater here against Minnesota. I think this game might even – if I had a bet, I would take the over on this game. So I like Teddy Bridgewater if you're looking to save some salary cap money at the quarterback position. Now, last week we talked about Nyheim Hines, Emil, and it burned me in my cash game. I'm always honest with all of our viewers. He was 5,200 last week, but wouldn't you know, Jonathan Taylor takes the reins and plays very well. Well, and I had Jonathan Taylor in one of my 2 lineups. Magna or summa cum laude lineup on footballdiehards.com. I liked him this week against Tennessee. Sometime around 11 or 12, I was getting ready for college fantasy football, reading Twitter, reading my news feeds, and lo and behold, Jonathan Taylor is out. Well, I had to go back, take away recency. Don't worry about what happened last week. Nyheim Hines is $600 less on DraftKings than he was last week. Last time he faced Tennessee, 28.5 points. In 2 of the last 4 games, he has scored more than 21 points on DraftKings. He is a very volatile player. I understand that. But the matchup is good here against the Titans. Let me see the Titans. I know they haven't been very good against the run the last 4 weeks. The Titans are giving up 27 points a game to opposing running backs in the last month. I like about him more, Emil. 21 receptions and 3 receiving touchdowns. Now, those came against Nyheim Hines, but you can beat Tennessee in the passing game with the running backs. Jordan Wilkins might steal a touchdown, but Jordan Wilkins is the power back, and I don't think he's special. Nyheim Hines, when you watch him play, he's special at times. He's really deadly in the open field. None of us, myself included, saw Jonathan Taylor just exploding last week. But he's not on the field this week. Indianapolis is at home. I like this game for Jonathan Taylor. And at 4,600, I'm getting the catching back in a good matchup with the starter not on the field. So I love Nyheim Hines here. One player that we haven't talked about, Emil, that the fantasy community, once in a while I hear a little chatter about him. But I've got Cole Beasley in 2 dynasty leagues, and we have huge rosters, like 12-man starters, right? Everyone who plays dynasty in large leagues. Cole Beasley might be one of my most valuable players this year. I've had to play him a bunch. He's almost always my 4th or 5th receiver. And Emil, he's been so good. 55 receptions, 642 yards, 3 touchdowns. In DraftKings, he's averaging 14.6 points per game. I like these numbers. In 2 of the last 4 games, he's had over 100 yards receiving. 109 yards against Arizona 2 weeks ago, and 112 yards against the Jets in week 7. In those 2 games, he scored 25 and 31 DraftKings points. He's very good, but why do I like him even? It is the matchup. Emil, we've seen how poorly the San Diego Chargers have played all season. Vegas likes this game to shoot out, myself included. It is one of the highest over-unders, 52.5 points. And John Brown is not in this game. And last week, we had discussed when Hall of Fame quarterbacks get together, like Phillip Rivers and Aaron Rodgers, they both rise to the occasion. I think they combined for 6, maybe 7 touchdowns last week, Rodgers and Rivers, in that great game between Green Bay and Indianapolis. Well, this time, we have the young guard. We have Josh and Justin Herbert. And don't you know that both players have heard how good the other player has been? And neither defense is overwhelming to me. I think you can score lots of points on the secondaries of both teams here. I like Cole Beasley a lot without John Brown. He's going to be peppered with targets. I would say he has a floor of 8 targets and a ceiling of 12. Pick him up. That's this very good.
And also with
yeah,
he definitely Josh Allen goes for Beasley when John Brown's out. Even though John Brown and Beasley play a different position on the field, the quarterback likes to rely on Cole Beasley when Brown is out, in my opinion.
No, I agree. And what happens is the matchups go sometimes to Stephon Diggs. You have a tough matchup. You have maybe a more positive matchup with Beasley. And he's a very good pass catcher, a good route runner. And you can tell that Josh Allen trusts him. I just really, really like him in this matchup a lot, my friend. So he's in that mid-price range with a lot of players where you can save salary cap with an underrated ceiling. People, I don't think, because he's Cole Beasley, and he's not talked about in the fantasy community, I think he's worth taking a look. I have him as a sleeper here. And the last one that opened up, I usually like to put 3. But when I'm looking at the real low price range, the low salary, Keelan Cole's up. They've had so many injuries in Jacksonville. DJ Chark isn't going to play. D.D. Westbrook isn't going to play. And who was the other? They actually had a third receiver who's out. Don't they, Emil? Why can't I remember his? Let me look here. Wide receiver. Oh, Chenault. Oh, Chris Conley's out. So you're really looking at a rookie in Laviska Shenault, and you are looking at Keelan Cole. I like Cole here for 300. 2 weeks ago against Green Bay, he scored 21.7. Last week, he was targeted 5 times. He only had 2 receptions. But when you're looking at almost bare minimum, and the game script says that the Jaguars should be playing from behind against the Cleveland Browns, I like Keelan Cole here. Look, I don't expect him to smash, but he could easily have 5 receptions for 60 yards, give you 11 points, and then if he could get in the end zone, you would really have a good day. I like Keelan Cole here for 3,600, Emil.
Yeah, and also he is talking GPP a little bit. His ownership right now is at 3.8%, so pretty low.
Woo! It is. Absolutely. I like that one.
And going back up to Cole Beasley, we got all these Coles in here. Keelan Cole or Cole Beasley. Cole Beasley is 7.6% owned. He's relatively high. But, the fact that John Brown's been out for 24 hours or so, I think perhaps his numbers have probably slightly gone up in ownership because of that.
Yeah, that's a great statement. You might not want Cole Beasley in a GPP because we'd like to keep it under 5%. But in a cash game, 7% seems pretty good.
It's not bad, yeah. All right, you ready to go to the next view graph?
Absolutely.
Here we are.
All right, every week we bring you the Fantastic Four, my friends. And this week we have a great slate of great quintuplet of players for your Fantastic Four. I've been talking about the Bills a little bit with Cole Beasley. I've been looking at these matchups more and more. And maybe it's because Josh Allen didn't play last week. Maybe it's because he was so hyped up early in the season. You know, after those first 3 or 4 games, people were talking a potential MVP for Josh Allen. But, you know, then he had 2 tough matchups, Tennessee and Kansas City. And then the Jets, he didn't perform, and New England. But since that little hiccup in the month of October, in the last 2 games, Josh Allen has scored 39 and 29 points on DraftKings. He's only 7,600. Last 2 weeks ago against the Cardinals, he had 29 DraftKings points. He only went up $100 on DraftKings. Now he's playing San Diego. The Los Angeles Chargers here. Look, it takes a long time to get these new cities right when you're old.
Definitely.
But
yeah,
I like this matchup very much. I like when you get 2 young stud quarterbacks. Justin Herbert's having one of the greatest seasons we've ever seen out of a rookie. He just continues to smash. Well, there's no reason to believe Justin Herbert can't continue to be prolific. That will force Josh Allen and the Bills to throw the football also. With Stephon Diggs and Cole Beasley and Gabriel Davis, they have talent at the wide receiver position. They have Zach Moss and Devin Singletary, who both can catch passes out of the backfield. I like Josh Allen here very much against the San Diego Chargers. I also like him because he gives you the running upside. I know Zach Moss might become the goal line back, and we have to worry about that a little bit. But Josh Allen is still very, very good at the goal line with the football. Also, he can score on a 10 or 12-yard scramble. I like the floor with the rushing ability. You have Josh Allen for the season as 279 rushing yards and 5 rushing touchdowns. He has,
Thanks.
and it's not just legs, he has 21 touchdowns throwing and only 7 interceptions, a 3-to-1 ratio, which is phenomenal. I like him here, a nice shootout. For those of us who remember the AFL, this is an old AFL shootout between the Chargers and the Bills. We have 2 young stud quarterbacks here. I like Josh Allen. I'm going to take the home quarterback. And I thought about this all week, Emil. How do I separate, other than salary, how do I separate between Herbert and Allen? What it came down to for me was the simple fact Allen is the home favorite, and I like the Bills to win this game. So I took Allen here. Nick Chubb. A lot of people, what's the ownership on Allen and what's the ownership on Chubb, my friend?
Yeah, first off, Josh Allen is the second most owned quarterback at 12%. Patrick Mahomes at 12.5%. Just for the heck of it, Justin Herbert is the 5th most owned quarterback at 6%, half the percentage of. And now let's go to those running backs here. Let me quickly flip over to them. Chubb is the 6th most owned running back at 13.4%.
Now, in GPP, what you just said, Emil, you should flip off Josh Allen and go to Justin Herbert. That's the GPP move. Cash games, I still love Josh Allen.
Gotcha.
There's no question. I mean, it's close. But looking at the numbers, looking at the research and the matchup, I like Josh Allen more than Herbert. Now, Nick Chubb, top 5. Interesting. It's got to be the matchup against Jacksonville. How can you not like this matchup for Nick Chubb? Nick Chubb last week, let me see, had 14 points. The week before, he had 21.6. The difference was the touchdown. That went to Kareem Hunt. If you had watched this game, Nick Chubb missed a few series. Nick Chubb is the guy in Cleveland. Touchdowns are fluky. And what I like about Nick Chubb, he can score a home run. He can score a 50-yard touchdown. And remember against Washington where he had the long touchdown and he sat on, or was it against Houston? Yeah, he had that long run and he stepped down at the 2-yard line. Or he would have had a second touchdown that day. I think Nick Chubb is due for a 2-touchdown game. We know it's within his realm of outcomes. We know Cleveland is a run-first offense. It is obvious without Odell Beckham Jr., the Cleveland Browns are hiding Baker Mayfield. They're not letting him lose the game. They're not asking him to win the game, that's for sure. And he's basically, the value of Jarvis Landry's fallen off the map. There's no value there. Nick Chubb is the guy. Look, I understand there's always a chance Kareem Hunt can steal one of your touchdowns. I get it. But I like Nick Chubb behind this offensive line, attacking Jacksonville. I love it here. I think you have 100 yards rushing and a touchdown minimum with a possibility of 2. So I'm going with Nick Chubb at running back. Now, the reason I went up, and salary-wise, let me see. You say he's the 5th most owned, and he's the one.
It's actually the 6th. Excuse me, the 6th most owned.
6th.
Yeah.
McCaffrey's out, so let's take him out. 1, 2, 3, 4. He's the 5th most expensive running back. I like Chubb here a lot, so I'm putting him in the Fantastic Four. But in order to put a running back that expensive, I had to find a running back of value. Gave you one on Nyheim Hines, but I'm even going to save a little bit more money with Brian Hill. And again, I love the matchup against the Los Angeles Raiders here. Las Vegas Raiders. Oh my God, I got to get this right. Against the Las Vegas Raiders. The Las Vegas Raiders are not going to be able to slow down that Falcons defense all day long. We have known that Todd Gurley has been dependent on touchdowns. So the touchdown equity in the run game is there for Brian Hill. He just has to cash in, no pun intended. He's got to get into the end zone. He should garner the majority of the snaps as well as the majority of opportunities. Quadre Allison, he has been limited this year, and Ito Smith is only 20 touches all season. Brian Hill should be the guy in this backfield. The over-under in this game is 53.5, Emil. I'm getting a starting running back in a high-scoring team at home. He also can catch the football. He has 16 receptions this year on 20 targets for 111 yards. When you have Calvin Ridley, Julio Jones, if Hayden Hurst plays, he's questionable. You have Russell Gage, Matt Ryan, who likes to throw the ball deep at times if he has time in the pocket. You're not going to worry about Brian Hill from the defense coordinator standpoint. I like the combo of Chubb and Hill in the backfield here. I'll take Hill. We're only looking for 12 points. He should be able to get 14 to 16 points, especially if he scores a touchdown. So I'm going to take Brian Hill here. And my eyeball test also likes Brian Hill this year. he's played well. And the last one. Emil's there. Oh, is there an ownership on Brian Hill?
Well, not surprisingly, but interestingly, he's the third most owned running back, 18.4%.
So you can't even touch him in GPP. Cash game only. Unless you just want to swallow that large ownership, right, in a GPP. You can't do that.
$4,000 ownership is very tempting.
Yeah. Now, what was Nyheim Hines, by the way? But
let's go take a look here. Nyheim Hines is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, about the ninth highest running back owned, 6.2%.
So it tells me that you should pivot from Brian Hill to Nyheim Hines PP. You have a much lower ownership percentage. And the last player, hey, we saw Cam Newton was throwing the ball around last week against the Houston Texans. Unfortunately for me, I had Jacoby Myers, and he was throwing it to Damiere Byrd. So it cost me last week, folks. But I'm going to go back because I still believe Jacoby Myers is the best receiver on New England. Last week, the matchups dictated, and it worked, that Damiere Byrd was able to get open deep against that secondary of the Houston Texans. And Cam had enough time in the pocket to throw the ball down the field. And we know New England changes their offensive scheme around every week depending on the matchups. This week, I love this contest against Arizona. Absolutely want to smash against Arizona. In the last month, Arizona is the second worst defense to opposing wide receivers, giving up 51 points a game, Emil. Woohoo! 57 receptions for 564 yards and 6 touchdowns. They are giving up about 9.5 yards per catch. Well, why do I think that's interesting? What that tells me is Arizona's keeping receivers in front of the safeties. That they're giving up short passes and teams are taking advantage of it. Well, who do I want in this short area for New England? That's Jacoby Myers. Damiere Byrd beats you deep with this speed. He opens up underneath routes. Jacoby Myers excels on those underneath routes. I like Jacoby Myers here. Before last week's game against Houston, he had been great. 14 against Buffalo, 32 against the Jets, 16 against Baltimore. Then he came back with the clunker, 6.8 points. I believe there's recency bias here. I like this game, New England. And what's the ownership on Myers, Emil?
4.7% ownership on Myers.
That's nice. That's really nice. That means people are afraid of that passing game. I'm not. I want to save some salary. I like Jacoby Myers here against the Cardinals. So there's my Fantastic Four: Josh Allen, Nick Chubb, Brian Hill, Jacoby Myers. It'll cost you $24,000, which leaves you $26,000 to spend, and it leaves you $5,200 per player, and that includes a tight end and a defense that you can save salary cap money on if you want. But there's my Fantastic Four, everyone.
Very nice. All right, off to the next slide we go.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you've been watching us all year and you're part of the Football Diehards community, you know on our website we have so many good articles and so much analysis for you to take advantage of. Don't just watch this show. We have lots of good shows available for you, and we have lots of articles to read. Right now, we have DFS 3 and Out with the Hall of Famer Bob Harris. We have The Shadow Knows by Gary Davenport, looking for wide receiver, cornerback matchups. Who to avoid, who to take advantage of. We have DFS digging in the crates daily with Justin Lanero. Where can you save money? I've given you 4 sleepers. Justin has more for you up there now. You have my scholar sheet of knowledge that is available. My top shelf investments, my value plays, my fading plays, as well as some sample lineups for you to enter into cash games. And then we have the DFS cash game and tournament breakdown with Kyle Dvorak. Those are both up there. So you have right now 6 articles to take advantage of and build your lineups on footballdiehards.com. What else do we got there, Emil, for the viewers?
Oh, by the way, just to mention the ownership percentage we talk a lot about on the show. The rest of the season order for the website is just $12, and you get the ownership percentages information on that. And if you use the discount code DIEHARDS, you get another 15% off. And tomorrow it's myself and Brady getting our last shot at the DFS at 10 o'clock Eastern time tomorrow to continue in the excitement of all the changes this week. So that'll be fun also. Oh, by the way, I had a quick question. Robert Ferentz, he said load up on the New Orleans defense, and he also asked whether Fitzmagic would be a good cheap quarterback this week in DFS.
Absolutely. So that's a great question. I agree with you on the Saints defense. Let me see what they are listed at here. So the Saints are 3,800, so they're a little pricey. They're the second highest defense on the board. The Dolphins are number 1, and the Saints are number 2. It was the Steelers, but obviously that game is postponed. But I do like the Saints defense. I have them in a lot of regular season lineups already. I liked them before the debacle with Denver, so I definitely like them now. Now, Fitzpatrick, I was thinking about that, and everyone, I'll have my final lineups tomorrow in the morning because there's going to be so much change. But yes, here it is. So Ryan Fitzpatrick is only 5,500. I'm going to look at that matchup more with the Jets. But I'll tell you what I like about it more. I think it opens up Devontae Parker and Mike Gesicki. I think it makes them more interesting. So I'm going to be looking at this Dolphins-Jets in more detail. With Tua, I wasn't that excited about any of the receivers or the tight ends in Miami. But with Fitzmagic, I do find this game much more interesting from a fantasy standpoint than I did earlier. So if you want to pivot from your quarterback, if you don't want to go Bridgewater, I'm probably going to add into my value piece. I will put tomorrow morning, I will add Fitzmagic at 5,500.
And right now, Fitzmagic, his numbers aren't even coming up in ownership. I'm sure that's going to change coming into Sunday morning a little bit. But
wow.
It's probably going to be fairly low owned.
That's an interesting GPP also. Interesting. If you stack them with Miami receivers. That's interesting. The problem is there's no one on the Jets side to come back with. That's a hard one. But yeah. Who are you going to stack them with on the Jets? I guess you could find someone, but that's a huge risk. But that's how you win GPP. But I do like Fitzmagic for cash game salary savings.
Cool. All right, we're off to GPP Contrarian.
My favorite slide of the night. Actually, I like them all. I love the research. Always looking for a contrarian stack. Hey, last week we had the right stack. We just had the wrong players. We had Phillip Rivers and the Colts against the Packers. Unfortunately, we had put in Michael Pittman and Nyheim Hines. And Pittman scored once, but he had 2 touchdowns to Burton and Jack Doyle. I think I lost a couple weeks off of my life when I saw the 2 tight ends instead of Nyheim Hines scoring a touchdown. Hey, Phillip Rivers upheld his end of the bargain.
He did.
He had 3 touchdowns, right? Let me see. I think he might have had over 288 yards. He had 22 DraftKings points. We just didn't get the touchdowns, didn't go to the players that we had put into the lineup. So that's always the risk that you take. This week, my friends, people are going to be targeting the big games. Kansas City, Tampa Bay. I could have sat here and given you a Tampa Bay candy stack, but everyone's going to do it. People are going to stack the Raiders and the Falcons. They're going to stack the Chargers and the Bills. For cash games, love all those plays. In GPP, I'm staying away, my friends. You could even do, I thought a lot about this, Minnesota and Carolina. But I decided to go to the Cardinals and the Patriots. I think this game is crazy under the radar. First, you have a 49 over-under, which is nice. Sure, it'd be nice if it was 51, but then everyone would be stacking it, Emil. You also have a very close game. New England's getting 2. So I like the fact that New England's a home underdog. Yum, yum, yum. You don't think Bill Belichick has been telling that entire defensive unit and those offensive players that they're an underdog at home all week long? Love that narrative from Bill Belichick. All right. Cam Newton has been playing better football. People are going to play Kyler Murray. Here's a good question. What's the ownership on Murray, Emil?
Kyler Murray ownership is 6.2%. Cam Newton, 3.7%.
I'm almost getting 50% less ownership. I'll take Cam Newton. They're both high-end runners. Now, obviously, Kyler Murray is special running the football this year. I get it. I'm not going to debate. Cam Newton isn't in Kyler Murray's grade right now as far as a runner. But here's what Cam Newton is. The goal line running back. He's not going to get 70 yards rushing like Kyler Murray anymore. But he could get 2 rushing touchdowns and throw for 1. Against this secondary, I'm banking on Cam Newton throwing for about 250 yards or more, 1 or 2 touchdowns, and the key, the GPP. Cam's got to rush in 1 or 2 touchdowns. And I know that's highly, that's not probable, but for the year, Cam has 9 rushing touchdowns. That's right, folks, 9. He also scored 2 rushing touchdowns against Miami, 2 rushing touchdowns against Seattle, and where's the other rushing touchdown? 2 rushing touchdowns against the Jets. So in 3 games this year, Cam Newton has scored double-digit touchdowns. I'm banking on that in a GPP. I'm going to move away from Kyler Murray and significant cash savings. Kyler Murray's 8,200. Cam Newton is 6,400. So I'm going to go there. I said, I need a running back on the other side. Kenyon Drake, I think we've appreciated him more after we saw Chase Edmonds have to carry the offense when Kenyon Drake missed the game. Edmonds is a great Robin to Kenyon Drake's Batman. He thrives on less carries while Kenyon Drake does the dirty work. Now, Kenyon Drake scored 31 points against Dallas. It's in his range of outcomes. We saw Kenyon Drake last year in one huge game. Didn't he have 4 rushing touchdowns like late in the season last year, Emil? Like a monster game, like on a Sunday night football or something. We know the 30-point. What?
I'll look that up as you continue to speak.
Oh, yeah. So we know the outcome of Drake is there. Now he's volatile. But if I'm going to go off of Murray and try to leverage with Newton, I need the leverage with Kenyon Drake. I've got to hope that Kyler Murray does not score a rushing touchdown and Kenyon Drake gets 2. And that's how I'm going to win a GPP. That's how I got to do it. I've got to hope that Kenyon Drake gets the 2 touchdowns. It's not likely, but it's possible. Did you find the game last year when he went nuts, Emil?
Yeah, it was week 15 at home against Philadelphia. 4 rushing touchdowns, 137 yards, 22 rushes, and 1 catch for 9 yards. 39
there you go.
Points.
So we know that high ceiling, while it is improbable, we know that the high ceiling's there. What's his ownership, my friend?
Oh, here, I just had it and I was off. You're talking about Drake?
Yeah, Drake.
5.2%.
I love that. I love that in a GPP. So I'll take
that
Drake.
Works.
Now, I don't want to be scared. I don't want to get burnt by Kyler Murray. So I'm going to gobble up DeAndre Hopkins and Christian Kirk. I'm going to, in my GPP stack, my game script says that this game is 35-31. I don't care who wins. Well, if it's 35-31 and Drake gets 2 rushing touchdowns, that means that Kyler Murray's going to throw for 2 touchdowns, maybe 3. There's no tight end worth value. I mean, maybe, is it Dan Arnold? He's the tight end, right? I don't care.
Yep.
If Dan Arnold scores a touchdown, then I get burnt. I'm not going to worry about Dan Arnold of the Arizona Cardinals. I'm going back DeAndre Hopkins and Christian Kirk. That gives me exposure to Kyler Murray. What I'm hoping is Kenyon Drake gets the rushing touchdowns and Kyler Murray still throws for nearly 300 and 2 touchdowns and 1 each to Hopkins and Kirk. Now, I know Hopkins is highly owned, right? Emil, what's Hopkins' ownership?
Hopkins' ownership is 9.9%.
Oh, he's under 10. So,
Barely.
You know what?
And Kirk is 4.5.
Kirk is what?
3.5.
Oh, that's awesome. So, Keenan Allen, Stephon Diggs, Tyreek Hill, Calvin Ridley. I'll pivot to DeAndre Hopkins. 10% is nice. Once in a while, if you believe, and I think Hopkins has a 25-point game here, he has it within his realm of outcomes. I'll take Hopkins, and I'm hoping that Kirk hits one of those long home run touchdowns. We had a 3-game stretch, week 6, 7, and 9. Kirk scored 22, 21, and 26 DraftKings points. Since then, he's only had 7 and 9. So he hasn't been as productive. But I'm hoping that he gets back on board here, that Kirk has a big game out of him, and Kyler Murray to his 2 studs. So I'm going to go there. And we've already talked about Jakobi Meyers. I like him in this game. The ownership is low enough for me. And I'm hoping that Cam Newton finds Jakobi Meyers at least once in the end zone. I love this stack. Go to our optimizer on footballdiehards.com. Put in these 5 players. Optimize your lineups for a GPP and see who our optimizer puts in for the other 4 players. Right there, you have 31,000. This is an expensive GPP because of Hopkins. I understand that. But you still have 4,700 remaining for other players. And there's value on the board, and our optimizer will help you find it. And that's my GPP Contrarian stack, Emil. What do you think this week?
Yeah, I like it a lot. You know, I've been playing Contrarian, just tinkering with it a little bit. Obviously, very difficult with the GPP. It's it's a tough thing to try and win at GPP, but you gotta be uncomfortable when you finish your lineup. It's a weird thing. Hopkins,
yeah.
worries me. Hopkins worries me because he's just not performing, but obviously his ceiling is still very high. So I kind of like seeing him in here in this GPP Contrarian stack.
And it gives me, I like it because it also gives me Kyler Murray exposure, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I like that too. Good idea.
So I'm not losing on Kyler Murray, and I'm banking on Cam Newton. And, really, the key of this whole stack, to me, Kyler Murray can't score his rushing touchdowns. If we don't get those touchdowns, what? Go ahead.
Yeah, so Kyler Murray can't score, can't rush the ball. We don't want to see that.
Yes, and then we're in good shape. Yes, absolutely, my friend.
It's going to be fun.
Absolutely. Can't wait.
Let me see if I had another question. I don't think we did. I got so many windows open. I've double-checked here.
I got a bunch open, too. That's why I have to, sometimes it takes me a second to switch screens, right?
Yeah, exactly. Too many windows open. No, we're good with that. Excellent show. I love this. Any other inputs you want to put up?
No, I just enjoy the games. And my friends, please watch Emil and Jason's show in the morning. And please go to footballdiehards.com for my updated lineup sheet of knowledge, because there's going to be change now and tomorrow. There's going to be a lot of it.
Sounds great. Well, thank you so much. Good luck, everybody, and good luck, John, this week. It's crazy, but like you said, lots of opportunities this week.
Absolutely.